So who are the Fathers of the Church? It's a designation given to a group of people from the 2nd century of the Church, that is right after the death of the apostles, down to about, depending on who you speak to, about the 12th century. The last of the Fathers is commonly said to be St. Bernard of Clairvaux, writing in the middle of the 12th century. They were bishops, some of them were priests, some of them were deacons, monks. Though we don't commonly use the term, there are also a number of women who might be called mothers of the Church too. Martyrs, ordinary men and women living their Christian life. Well, the Christian faith is something handed on from generation to generation. And the Fathers of the Church and the Mothers of the Church are important people in precisely this handing on of the faith in its full integrity. What does it mean? What does this entail about how we live the Christian faith? How do we read the Scriptures? All of these things we get from the Fathers of the Church. There are homilies. Some of them wrote letters and diaries, records of their martyrdom written by other people, poems, treatises arguing with various heresies. So that's the sort of thing that they write. Because we all learn the faith from someone else. It's received. Someone taught me, and they were taught by somebody else. And the Fathers were the people who received what the apostles gave them and transmitted it to us. They fought against several heresies, most of which are still around in one way or the other. Things like, is Christ only a man, or is he fully God? Did Christ really have a full, proper human body, or was it just an appearance? Do we have bishops in the church? Can you have a church without bishops? Can we use just water to celebrate the Eucharist? All of these things were discussed by the various Fathers, and they were given definitive answers. So one of my friends who used to be a Baptist once came into Mass, and it happened to be the feast of the great 2nd century Father St. Ignatius of Antioch, and he heard St. Ignatius beautifully speaking about Christ's real presence in the Eucharist. And it never occurred to him that this was such an ancient teaching, that it came from somebody who'd been a disciple of the apostles. So that's one thing that the Fathers do, hand on the faith in its fullness, and when errors arise, fight against them. You might say, well, I can pick up and read the Bible. Yes, that's true. But the Fathers can often point out things which we don't realize. For instance, take Psalm 144. There's a whole description of a variety of what we might see as good things. Let our barns be filled to overflowing with crops of every kind, our sheep increasing by thousands, tens of thousands in our field, our cattle heavy with young, no ruined wall, no exile, no sound of weeping in our streets. And then these two key sentences follow. Blessed the people of whom this is true. Blessed the people whose God is the Lord. Now, the way in which most of us would read this is to see it as see the last verse as repeating what went before. Blessed the people of whom this is true, that is, blessed the people whose God is the Lord. Now, if you look at the commentaries on the Psalms of a variety of 4th century fathers, St. Ambrose, St. Jerome, St. Hilary, and St. Augustine, all of them read this very differently. They read, blessed the people of whom this is true, as affirming that one view of what the good life is, all these earthly blessings. And then they see the second part as directly contradicting that and saying, no, blessed the people whose God is the Lord, even if these things are not actually the case for us, even if we don't have earthly blessings. And that's a fascinating difference in how to read the scriptures. They bring together the various scriptures and put them together and show them how to read it. And that's a wonderful service that the fathers provided us. They apply the scriptures to our life. They show us how to live the Christian faith. So for all these reasons, the fathers are fascinating, and I hope you will read them. There are two ways of going about it. One is, if you have a favorite saint or father, look them up and see what they wrote and go from there, and then read what they were influenced by, and so on. Another one is to begin at the beginning. The fathers of the 2nd century are very easy to read, and most of them are very short. So the letters of St. Ignatius of Antioch, which you can read in about an hour. I did it once. And that's sort of early fathers, and then read on to what people said a little later, and then you will see the wonderful kind of growth of the faith.